Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, a big warm welcome to all of you arriving and those who are arriving a bit late. We know we've moved to a new world in the Australasian Saturday morning training reality. It's a bit of a learning curve for all of us, so thanks for persisting and working it all out. But what we do know is it's really enhanced all of our personal experience of being able to be together, see each other with your permission, or not. And hopefully you get great audio out of this if you can't see the camera. So Gary Knapp, Diana Hunter, and myself, we partner for this call because we love it. Hi, Gary. And we love being here with you. We love the inspiration it offers us. We love the community it develops with each and every, because one of the greatest things of Mannatech is the people, and we're very privileged to be able to be here. So this morning we have Gregory. Chris is a bronze presidential. I'll just tell you a little bit about his background. Chris and Bev Gregory have been involved with Manitech since the mid-2002s. They reached the level of bronze presidentials within their first 18 months. He has also helped 5 others to reach the presidential level in his team, coming from a corporate background in the design development field and a quantity surveyor and project manager. Chris has put his business background to good success in developing a solid business structure. They have lived and worked in several countries managing large business developments, plus in mission work with the underprivileged in the Middle East. He has been a director on a variety of boards as diverse as education, community services, and banking. He has been the instigator to building a school and orphanage with over 400 children in Uganda. Chris has built a large international Mannatech business in many countries where Mannatech has a presence. His presentations give people an overview of all aspects of the Mannatech journey and teaches people how they can use the power of leverage to gain financial independence and expand their own business internationally, often without even leaving their own home. With a lifetime interest in nutrition and good health, Chris and Bev are living examples of their beliefs and travel widely to share the message of Manitech, regardless of whose team people belong to. So Chris, thank you for being here this morning, and welcome to the new form of the Australasian Saturday morning training.
Thanks, Sharon. It's great to be here, and it's good to see your face while we're talking. We can't hide behind anything today, can we?
No.
Really good.
It's a PJ free zone now.
That's right, it is, isn't it? No, it's good to be
absolutely. Here. So Chris, and for everybody listening, I had originally planned this as a training to include some of the new amazing Mannatech business plan, but Chris is just so amazing at setting the framework for helping people understand to get rid of their sort of hesitations about a network marketing business or a home business and see the absolute power, especially in comparison to, you know, big business and what we really have at our hands. So I wanted to be able to have this on hand. Obviously this is recorded and it could be available to help so many people. So Chris, let's get started with your story and how you were introduced to Mannatech and made that first decision.
Well, probably like a lot of people, it was my son, or, you know, and often it's family members, just friends who mention something. So it was my son who actually said to me one day, he said, "Hey, Dad, I think you need to have a look at this. Would something that would interest you?" Because he'd been talking to another friend and knew that we were always interested in nutrition and eating well, but he saw the business side of it. And he understood from my background that I might see that too. And we're originally from New Zealand, and the company was just about to open New Zealand. So when I heard what the products were, and I did know some folk who I knew would certainly benefit from having those products, and also from the business. And I remember turning to my wife and saying, "Gosh, this is everything we've ever believed in. And they pay you as well." And it was fantastic, because we went over there and got it going in New Zealand, and it's climbed so quickly, just because so many people saw the opportunity. You could see that, hey, what we've got is, as you've often spoken about, is the products, which, you know, there's no doubt they're the Rolls Royce of products and have been for years and always will be. But there is this incredible opportunity, and I've found that one of the, although people might like to admit it, one of the major things that people have a concern about nowadays, and can cause a lot of stress, which can cause sickness, is lack of finance. And so we saw this as a business straight away. And so that's how we got involved in it.
And I know for you, timing and skills and all things put into perspective, your business grew very quickly to bronze presidential. And for those of you that are new to Mannatech, that means that that's a significant full-time income and has helped a lot of people, both with wellness and income and mission. Chris, what was that journey like for you?
Look, it did happen very quickly. Well, so we found out later it happened very quickly because things were moving. And I think that's the thing. When you've got momentum with the whole company and with your own group, keep that momentum up and keep it going. Now, in those days, as you remember, that cost us $1,375 to get involved. We bought an all-star pack. There was a lot of product in it. That's of course what you pay for. And everybody joined at that level. And there was no problem in talking to people about it. But there's various other bonuses and things. And so we just kept sharing the news with other people. We helped people. Some had some fairly major health challenges. But again, straight away they could see the business side that would cover those costs easily and put some money in the bank. I think our first check within the first 4 weeks was around about $3,000. Well, that was pretty good for a sideline work, you know, because I was still full-time for all those first couple of years in my other business. And as I say, within that time, we were able to build a very big business, not just in New Zealand and Australia, and then it just expanded overseas and it kept on growing. So, yeah, I mean, we actually never hit presidential. We went hit straight into bronze presidential because we got a couple of people over there who went presidential before me. And that's great in this business, is that it doesn't matter when you start. You can get to the very top if you want to. And so it did. It just climbed very quickly.
And your brother had quite a life-changing experience with the wellness technology, didn't he?
He did, yes. He was my brother-in-law. He'd had, am I allowed to mention it? he Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Without the disease name? Yes, without the disease.
He'd been given 5 years to live, and that was over 15 years ago. And within a very short period of time, he didn't have that challenge anymore. And he's alive today and sharing the news with many other people. So, yeah.
And that really spurs belief, doesn't it? Whether it's someone in your own family or just witnessing or hearing it today, to really understand the reality of what nutrition can do in a body that's gone off balance. That's
right. And I mean, I suppose being a man, I say, okay, and I say to people often, I say, look, if you had a Ferrari sitting outside your door and you filled it up with diesel fuel, it wouldn't run very well. And I think people have got to realize their body is like a machine, you know, and it needs to have the correct fuel. And we all know the rubbish is in food nowadays. And so put the right stuff in them and it should operate correctly. And then the body can heal itself.
And Chris, you know, along the way, you've been able to enjoy quite significant positive lifestyle changes as well. I know that, you know, you had a very high level corporate job, but what are some of the things that Mannatech has brought into you from a lifestyle perspective?
Well, I suppose, you know, a lot of people, when they talk about lifestyle, they think of travel. And because we had reached bronze PD very quickly, every January, the company sends the world leaders to Hawaii for a conference and for a bit of a holiday. But we do. It's a really good conference. And so we had never been there in our lives. We'd been to a lot of other places around the world, but we've been going to Hawaii every year for the last 13, 14 years. We also have been most times to Manifest, which is the international conference in the US. So that's happened every year. So our passports kind of kept getting filled up. And of course, there's the various incentives that the company puts on here. And also over time, we were able to open Singapore for the company. I had friends there and we built up the Manitech business, got to the stage of, after about 4 years of continually sending products up there, the company said, well, I think we've got enough people there, we'd better open it. And so we did that for Singapore, we did that for Finland, and also was instrumental in getting Hong Kong opened. And I suppose not everybody is able or has the contacts in a foreign country to do that. But we did have that contact, so we're able to do it. But I would warn people, not to think that international is the way to go, because this business is so important about building relationships and keeping in touch with people and follow up. And if the person is on the other side of the world in another time zone, it's very difficult. So start at home with the people you know, and where you can support them.
That's great advice, Chris. And I know you've also been, would you say, blessed or impassioned by the mission aspect of Mannatech.
Oh, yes. And that's something I always like to share with people when they're first telling them about Manitech, because right now, the company as a whole is feeding over 100,000 children every day. Every day. Free of charge, basically, because we all know that when we buy products to the company will supply this nutrition to a child for a month. So that's an amazing mission to be involved with, and to know that we are really having an effect. And quite a few of us have been to some of the orphanages that Mannatech send their product to, and just seen for ourselves what it has done for them. And yeah, and of course we have been able to, because of the extra income, support the mission in Uganda, and that's going really well. And got some more property there now, and just to continue building homes for the kids, and some ongoing work-related stuff to keep them occupied all the time. So
that's amazing, Chris. And what about has it freed up your schedule as far as having choice in comparison to corporate?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. In fact, often when we're doing a presentation, we show a photograph of the motorway on a Monday morning or any morning, and from here in Gold Coast up to Brisbane, it's the M1, and we call it the M1 car park. And years ago, I did have to go up there every day, and I suppose you would at least, well, if the traffic was good, it would take you about an hour and a half. So you got 3 hours of your day wasted just sitting in the car. And so, yeah, it certainly has given us freedom to choose. And choice is, again, probably one of those words which is a good thing to share with people. It does give you choice. When you want to go and do something else, you don't need to be rushing out to some corporate business because you've got to be there from 8 till 5 or whatever it is. And I must admit that it used to frustrate me at times when working in those sort of industries, that you had to be there during those hours. Whereas I would often feel I can get a lot more done more efficiently in my own time. So much of my life has been basically working for myself on those developments anyway. Yep, choice, great thing.
I love the flexibility of the time. Yeah, absolutely. And what's happening in the world today, Chris, in regards to employment, in regards to financial situations, that it's so important for people to really seriously consider having a home business as part of their cash flow coming into the household?
More important than ever nowadays. I think it doesn't take anyone with a brilliant mind to understand that the world economy is very, very unstable. I think people got quite a shock in 2008 at the financial crash which happened around the world. And although we in Australia perhaps were not as affected as much as in some places, we were affected. And I know in the development field, there's areas, well, on the Gold Coast, there are 4 postcodes which were the highest number of bankruptcies in the whole of Australia. And they weren't all lower socioeconomic or higher. They were right across the board. And I know one very nice area that people live on, a lake close to here, 120, 130 houses were basically taken over from the bank by the bank. Then you go to another lower socioeconomic area, and it was kind of very similar. So it didn't matter what level you were on in the socioeconomic field. Now, what I would say now is, from what I don't pretend to be a world economist, but from what I see regularly, and I keep a check on this daily, see what's happening in the world today, we're in for a major crash again this year. Been predicted by many people. In fact, it's interesting, a lot of us often talk about Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He was one of the few people who predicted what was going to happen in 2008. And he, again, is one of the many people who are predicting, along with a lot of banking and economic people, that it's going to crash again quickly now. So my advice to people is get out of debt, keep out of debt, don't take any big borrowings at the moment, but utilize this Mannatech or anything else as an extra stream of income, because we know that robots are taking over jobs all the time, and we see the closure of big business here, like Ford and Holden, and so many places, and people need to have the security of other streams of income. So I say have multiple streams of income, and I would never tell anyone to give up their job to get involved with Mannatech. If it comes that way, okay, but look, in this day and age, be careful and get other streams of income, whatever it might be, as long as it's legal. Do it.
It's such a go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and of course, Manitech can do that. And look, if you're wanting it, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but if you're wanting it to $1,000 a week, $1,000 a month, great, this can do it. If you're looking at a full-time income with, high six-figure income, yes, can do it. But it's work. I remember one of the South African presidentials saying it's called network marketing. So in other words, it won't just come in. You have to do something. Yeah.
So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, although people can, apply themselves and become very wealthy if that's their goal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
I mean, I was going to say, some people, well, we often say to people, look, give yourself a 2 to 5 year plan if you want to be on a six-figure income. You may find it'll happen a lot quicker. It may take much longer, but hey, what a great superannuation. If you look at it like that. Because it's a residual income. Once it's built up and you've got that team of people around the world and each one is showing somebody else, is showing somebody else. I mean, it's been proven that this type of marketing system is the best income earner in the world. And people often forget the various companies are actually involved in networking of some sort. I mean, people like Citibank, we say, were they a network marketing company? No, not officially, but that's how they build. A lot of big insurance companies have been reading recently in the States, they're networking. A lot of fuel companies, petrol companies. It's amazing when you come down to it, that they're basically using this very similar system.
Absolutely. And that residual income, maybe we should outline that, because it's such a safety net for a household, where even if someone loves what they do and they don't really want to give up their job. But as you're saying, jobs can be here today and gone tomorrow. And we're probably heading for an even more restricted period in regards to employment. So that safety net aspect. Explain what residual income is and the asset value of that, even of a lower income.
Well, a residual income is basically an income that just keeps on coming every month. I mean, I suppose in a sense, the closest to saying, well, you've got an investment property or shares or something, and every month that just keeps on coming in from it. And what we've found that with Manitech, it's just don't have the figures right to hand, but say, for example, from what was a regional director getting a couple of $100 every 4 weeks or something like that, it was basically, if you put it as a value, put it at say $5,000 a year, and then you'd work out, say, okay, from an investment point of view, how much money would you have to have in the bank to give you that return on interest? And say, I'm sorry, I just don't have those figures here, but I know that with I think it was around about $500,000 you'd have to have in the bank if you're going to be on what they call a national director level. If you're presidential, I think the asset value worked out about $2.5 million. Now, how many of us can save $2.5 million? Impossible. But if you went to a bank and you said, what's your business worth? Then they would say, okay, I'm getting, say, $10,000 a month coming in from it. You'd say, okay, that's $10,000. What would I have to have invested in the bank to give me $10,000 a month? And okay, we all know the interest rates are much lower than they used to, but say you needed $2.5 million at that stage. So from an asset value, you actually have a big asset there. People often think that their home is their biggest asset. But I remember Robert Kiyosaki saying years ago, saying, if you've got a mortgage on it, that's not an asset, it's a liability. And we often think of that, whereas money in the bank, whether it's cash or gold or whatever it is, it's giving you a return on your investment. That's your asset.
No,
Yeah, I'm sorry,
absolutely.
I have the figures in my head.
Yeah, that's okay. I forgot that. And another thing that's really critical for people to be aware of today is I think super is rapidly becoming a thing of the past. It's got the writing on the wall, isn't it?
It has, yes. And, you know, a lot of people are kind of looking to rely on that as their income in their later years in life. And you're right, because where is the super being invested? And if it's being invested in companies which we don't have any control over ourselves, it's somebody else. And when you do get a world crash and you do get some of these companies then going down very quickly, sorry guys, your money's gone. And that happened quite a lot in 2008. A lot of people just, hey, they were relying on that and expecting, you know, they might have a few $100,000 there, and it was going to give them a decent income for the rest of their life, and it's no longer there. So yeah, if we're relying on one thing, we're going to be very careful because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow,
No,
unfortunately.
absolutely. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And, you know, for people listening today, whether you need, you know, help with a car payment or mortgage payment or, you know, gee, I haven't had a holiday in 5 years, you know, whatever your goal is, you definitely, and especially with our new plan, which we'll get to,
Mm.
is very exciting. You know, like there's a real clear pathway now for people to get that extra 500, 600 a month that, you know, that would save so many households that I know of.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I recall just going back to the crash in 2007, 2008. It started with something in the America called the subprime mortgage index, and basically in the States, if you owned a house and you couldn't give up your payments, you could literally walk into the bank, hand them the keys, and walk away. You're free of it. Over here, they'll chase you for every dollar until they get paid for it. You know, 85% of the people who lost their homes, it was less than $300 a month they owed. Our regional director, you could be a regional director here on a good regional director's business, and that would have paid and kept 85% of the people who lost their homes. $300 a month, not a week, $300 a month.
Mm.
You know, that's a very small amount. So yeah, absolutely right. You know, just a bit extra, what it can do to a family's income, really important. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the best kept secret, sadly, aren't we?
We are. That's something. If I get in the wood with anything, it's like nobody knows we're here. We
Yeah.
need to market ourselves a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's on our shoulders, isn't it? To be out there
It
and
is.
making sure, and this will go a long way to help that, Chris. So thank you. And so let's talk about why Mannatech. Why, you know, if someone's listening today and they can see that, you know, what we're talking about has a lot of validity and they're the type of person who would rather be proactive than wait for a big wake up call, why should they choose Mannatech?
Well, two things, and I think the thing is that we are a scientific research company. End of story. We know that, and we all know, those of us in Manitech know that it is the best technology there is out there, and our competitors know, and they dislike us because the company has been very smart when they first discovered the glycan regions. They patented the way they put those things together, so it's been able to protect us over 23, 24 years, despite many times competitors trying to put us down. So that's a very strong reason. We give a 90-day money-back guarantee on our products. No questions asked. So try them out. If it doesn't work, send back what you got and ask for your money back. We have the patents. Look, to date, I think it's around 134. But you know, every so often we hear of another patent being provided around the world. So things are patented. So again, your business is protected. We've got a scientific advisory board of some of the top medical people in the world. Absolutely astounding. Of course, we got Dr. Steve Nugent, who heads that up, coming out here within a few weeks. And that everybody should really go and hear him, whether they're in this for the business side or whether they're just interested to know about the products, because that's the basis of what we are. Every company, it doesn't matter what the company is, it's got some product. Yeah, we're going to be talking about more the money and the income, and that's important, but the company doesn't make any money unless it's got a really decent product. What else? Is there anything else in that area you were referring to, perhaps?
Well, you know, I think that the social entrepreneur aspect is really a point of difference for us.
Yes.
besides our technology that actually works. I see
Yeah.
so many new companies coming out with that, endeavor to help, to make a difference in the world. And
Yes.
we've got such visionaries in charge of Mannatech. We've been doing it for how long now? Like almost since the beginning.
That's correct. Yeah, and it's very important. And I mean, just over the last few years, they've ramped it up, and it was interesting that it was actually following the keep coming back to the crash of the finance in the world, but I mean, this all relates to things. It was after that when it didn't matter what company, what business you're in, everybody's sales was going down, and so the guys on the board were looking, saying, "What can we do?" And one of them came up and said, "Look, I think we need to give away more." Who goes to a board when they see things not doing so well? We got to give something more away. And so they changed the way that we actually help these kids in orphanages and things around the world, so that now every single time you and I and the hundreds of thousands of people around the world buy products each month, the company will feed a child from us free of charge. So social entrepreneur, this is social entrepreneur 101. And you need to have a for-profit company to be able to run a not-for-profit company. I know a lot of people start up companies and they unintentionally become a not-for-profit. But you have to, if you want to do anything in the world, in your home, whatever, you need the funds to do it. So, we're not frightened about that. We've got, the company's got to be profitable. It's got to make money. It's got to make money to run, to kind of continue on its research, to operate worldwide as we keep opening new countries, and for us as associates to give us our income. So you have a for-profit company, and from the for-profit company, they can use the percentage, which they've set up right from the very beginning, to support endeavours like M5M, Mission 5 Million. And I don't think we've actually covered what that is. Probably lots of people on the call know, but Mission 5 Million stands for, well, M5M stands for Mission 5 Million. There are 5 million children under the age of 5 every year die from the effects of malnutrition. Our company's aim is to stop that, to be able to feed 5 million children. We're on the way. 100,000 kids a day we're helping, and that's just continue to increase every year. So another great reason to take the products, because it helps at the same time.
Yeah. It is heartwarming, isn't it, Chris? I can tell you're touched. It's like donation by consumption. So if anybody doesn't, just with no additional donation on your part, just by looking after your own wellness, Mannatech commits to feeding a child. So it's a mission that's, I don't know, it's just, it's hard to find words to describe how important it is what we're doing.
It's the heart of Mannatech.
Yeah, it is the heart of Mannatech. That's right. And the other thing is, there around the world right now, we're calling Mannatech a 22 or 24-year-old startup company. And in part of that, we've been through tremendous change over the last few years. And as of July this year, we are moving into the 21st century in the revamp of our contract, the way the company compensates us for our activity in partnership with them. I can see there's good things about having morning sun in the office. It's not so good. I'm looking a bit angelic all of a sudden. Yeah. So our new plan is, I'd say, the envy of the industry. Would you say, Chris? Tell us about that.
Yes, look, I agree with you, and we were all concerned when we were going through it, because hey, we knew what we were doing. We got to understand it. We structured our business a certain way, but basically, I'll use the word forced. We were forced into it by things like the Trade Practices Act and a variety of requirements in the business world today. We weren't doing anything wrong, but requirements nowadays require other standards. I find this on the boards of education institutions. There are things that we have to do we never had to do in the past, and they're fine. That's good, but that's what life we're living with. Now, what the company has done is that we've now differentiated greater between customers and associates who want to build this as a business. So, because I think not that we were especially doing this or doing anything wrong, but what the trade practices and various people said was that somebody should not have to buy hundreds of dollars worth of a business pack to open an account with the company and get your products, when really all they wanted to buy is one bottle of something. They need to be given that opportunity to do that. And it had to be structured into the way we built. So the new compensation plan was taken 2.5 years to put together. It's not been an easy process, and there's been a lot of communication with other leaders in the industry and leaders in Mannatech how to do it. And I think at first I was concerned, now I'm excited. It is amazing, because what it does do, it brings more money up front for people, which is important for those who really want to get moving on us and see some quick. We talked about get rich quick. It's not get rich quick, but getting more income earlier. And so that's what it's done. So do you want me to explain a little bit about how it's put together?
Certainly. And how, from a perspective of someone brand new looking at, it's, for me, it's so exciting, because so many people don't want a full-time anything, but to do the amount of effort that it takes to do this, to bring that extra 500 to 600 in, is just life-saving for many, many, many people, the majority, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is that a lot of people, when they first get involved, they don't know at that stage whether they'd be any good at doing the business, as we could say. And a lot of them kind of said, oh, yes, I will, and then after a while they were, and look, there's no detriment to them, but they were really just being customers. They were just wanted to get their product every time, and they might tell one or two people, but really they were wanting it for themselves. End of story. So what we've got now is something called 5 and 2. So they have a little thing called a pod, and I will put this up here, see if people can see that. Can you see that I've got there?
Yeah, I can see that now. Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's been called all sorts of different things, but friends of mine said, well, that looks like a beach ball and a surfboard. So we're building beach balls and surfboards. You can call them what you like. One of my leaders in New Zealand said they call them eyebrows. It's like all the customers around the top of eyebrows. Like that. And what this really means is that you, as an associate, as a business builder, you find 5 people, minimum 5 people, who will be customers. They literally just want to buy a product here and there, and 2 people who want to build as associates. Now, you need a minimum of 5 people on a 100-point order to qualify. I think what will happen is there'll be 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 customers coming in initially. They may start on the, say, the True Health program for 90 days, and they'll try it. And I'm sure that, like along with other products, people will try it for a while and say, this is really good. Is there anything else? And once they've found that it actually works, then they're more likely to tell other people and share it with other people. That's right, isn't it? So the minimum for the that first payment is there must be 5 customers on a 100-point order, the minimum, and you must have a 100-point order. Well, you don't initially do it, but I will always work on that. In fact, my recommendation, because of the other bonuses later on, is that you as an associate should be a minimum of 150 points. Now, that doesn't take very much to do. I wrote down some figures here. Now, with our 100-gram ambrotoast, there's 100 points straight away.
Yeah.
An omega-3 is 28 points. Plus is 34, GI Pro is 26, Catalyst is 142, 230 points. I doubt there's any leader in this company who's getting as few as 230 points. But with the way the structure is now, your orders are counted as part of your volume. This has never been before. So everything you order, instead of having to put them in another position below and not being paid for what you buy, your order is counted. That's fantastic. So just on those figures alone, let's say you had 5 associates and they just had 100 points. That's 500 points. And you as an associate had, say, 150, and your two other associates have 150, that's 950 points. You're well ahead. Just working on that, your first, your check would be $650.50. There's a way that's made up. It's made up of a thing called an AQ, which was actually on that illustration. An AQ team, when you help another person below you, a power seller's bonus, and a first order bonus. Yes, we can go through and show the exact structure of how that's done, but for want of time and ease of people understand, so, hey, go and find 5 people, minimum 5 people, and 2 associates on the automatic order, and that will be the income you'll get. That's tremendous. Every month, if that's coming in, that's going to be a great help to people.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that people will buy more than their 100 points, as I mentioned before, what we would. So I would say that even with that, with your 5 customers, your 2 associates, and your own order, you're probably over $1,000 every week, every month. And so it's a full month now, not 4 weeks. So for business period is the full month. So very, very simple to do. And I mean, how many people, you don't need to put your hands up, but I'm sure how many people would like an extra $1,000 a month?
Yeah.
Even just 650. Yeah. So that's easy. But I actually decided I'd go a little bit further because, that's now I'll put that up. That basically is your AQ team. So there's you at the top with your 5, and then if you can see that, there's your 2 associates with their 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's called a pod. You can call it whatever you like, but they call it a pod. Let's say you're the sheepdog and you're driving all your sheep to your pod. But for those who are saying, yeah, that's good, but what about some more money? All right, here's some more money. In the past, we have always been allowed to, and we still are, we're allowed to have one position as what we call a joint position. It can be in the name of your business, your company, which is most tax advantage to you. And then you, as one partner, one husband, one wife, whatever, can have one position, and your other partner can have the other position. So you can have 3 positions. Now, in essence, in keeping it simple, that's 3 times the income. Here is another little illustration, if you can see there. So there's the top. You've got your 2 people, which we're now saying yourself, and then they've done the same underneath. To give you an idea on what the income is, that's just about $3,000 every business period. You probably can't pick up all the details on that. I'll make them available, and the various ones of the leaders have worked things out on a slightly different volume basis on how many products are going through. But I've just tried to keep it fairly simple, so that your first site would be getting 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 6, about $775. And then your next site down would be getting 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about $1,400. Plus you've got what they call a first order bonus. There's another $800. So I would like another $3,000 a month. Would that be helpful to you? Mm. It's and it is amazing. And for I'm going to say for that, there's only, well, before we had a regional director, had to have 15 people minimum. Here we're talking 15, 16, 17 people basically. And then they do the same again. So yeah, there's much more money available. And also, although some of you may not know exactly understand where I've come from on this, the structure is a lot easier. In the past, what we what is down here? Oh yeah, there's before I think there was something like 18 different levels within the structure. Now there's 6, well, bonuses, 18 different bonuses. Now there's 6. It's much simpler to understand, but they've increased the number of levels of payment to about 18. So it starts off earlier and it breaks it up earlier. There was a big gap, say, between regional director and national director from 1,500 points to 6,000. Now there's a couple of places between that. The same between there and executive and executive to presidential, which now you can become a presidential at 40,000 points instead of 60,000 points. And then that's divided up again after that. So very fair to everybody at every level.
And so for those listening not live, so if you're listening later and you don't have the visuals that we're talking about, Chris and I will liaise, and I'll make sure those PDFs are in the archive so you can refer to them. But you know, ultimately what Mannatech has done is move the goalposts closer together so that there's a shorter track to run before you have that feeling of success and accomplishment in your goals. So it's clear, it's simpler, and again, that, you know, now not only is our technology the envy of our profession, so is our plan. So that's putting us in an enviable place, isn't it, Chris?
It really is. And yeah, I mean, there's been lots of other companies out there come out with products which they try and say are equal. We know they're not. So we've always been ahead on that. Now we are well ahead on our compensation plan because we're the first people actually to comply with the new requirements. And there's been some major companies who've been fined huge amounts of money. Some have had it closed down because of the way the structures were. So yeah, we're a publicly listed company, which again means that we've got to be, you know, people can be very sure and safe working with us. And anybody building a business or relying upon an income from that want to know that the company's going to be around for a long time. So, you know, nobody can close us down.
Yeah.
You know, every day we've got independent arbitrators looking at the company, looking at what people are saying, what they're doing. So yeah, it's an amazing plan. And
yeah,
it was going to come out earlier, but then partway through doing it, some other requirements came up and said, hey guys, there's no use it's going with that. If it takes another 6 or 8 months, we've got to do it properly. So yeah, I'm very pleased with what it is. And also there's going to be good payments coming forward if you train leaders below you. And check matching and mentor bonuses and things. And it's just really incredible. So, and as Zig Ziglar said, you'll get anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. This is the same with this plan, is the more we help other people build their level to where they want to go, they don't need to follow us, but where they want to go to and their level, it'll happen as we help them.
And did you see that in corporate, Chris, in your old life, your previous life?
No. Most of the companies I work with are fairly nice people, but basically at the end of the day, it's like a ladder and there's only room for one at the top. And if you are a go-getter and you're kind of in your 40s and you're looking at the guy up there in 60, 65, well, you know, am I going to wait another 20 years till he's dead? I'm never going to get any higher. Here, you and I know full well, it's, you know, you can pass somebody. It's not, and I'll use that dirty word pyramid, it's not a pyramid. It's not as if you got them at the beginning, you're always going to be pushed to the top. You can't do that. In fact, with the new structure, we actually go a lot wider than deeper. So it's a very, very fair system. Anybody can get, as I said, I never hit presidential. I went straight to bronze because I had 2 people who beat me to it. And that's okay. That's fine. More of them, please.
Exactly. And it's an asset, isn't it? Having that partnership with someone who's, you know, achieving great things.
It is. Yeah. And we're all helping each other. And so while we're helping ourselves, we're helping the people below us, we're helping people above us. We're all part of a team. And as you and I know, we're in different teams. Hey, we work together. It's fine. Because we're building the company, we're feeding more kids. It's we're all keeping well. No,
and Chris, for people listening today, they might think, oh, well, you know, he was a senior corporate businessman, very successful on boards, you know, no wonder he can do it. I could never do something like that. So who could be successful in our business?
Absolutely anybody. If you've got a mouth, it's like taking a product. So you don't need to know what it does. Open your mouth, swallow, it works. If you've got a mouth and you want to share with people, you want to ask questions of people, find out what they need, you can build a business. And never prejudge. Absolutely never prejudge. You're surprised at people, the ones you thought, oh, they wouldn't do it. They're really good. Excellent. Because as I said before, it's not, you know, we're not salesmen. We're not trying to sell something to somebody. We're trying to find out from you, from the other person, what is it they're looking for? What's their goal? What's their dream? Do they have a dream? Maybe it's a family that've never had enough money to go for a holiday. Okay, let's help you work towards getting that holiday. And we see people doing that, or whatever it might be. It might be a health challenge. It may be paying for a mortgage on your home, a new car, a child in, say, a private school, whatever it might be. So no, it doesn't. In fact, often it's the people you least expect are the ones who will really take this and go well. And we've got to be careful. I mean, there's a lot of people who are far more educated than I am, and we've got to be careful that we don't kind of think, oh, that person is so experienced or so educated or so whatever, that I could never be like them. No, look, we're all different. There's basically 4 different personality types, and I'm 1 or 2, and I certainly couldn't be like somebody else. Look, absolutely anybody. Yeah.
So it really, on reflection for me, it's more about passion and excitement and willingness to learn and be led, be, you know, a team player and a leader, and developing those skills. Would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. And hey, I know that you're talking about being leaders. We don't all have to be leaders. In fact, you know, if you've got too many leaders, that'll probably need some followers. So we need a team, and just bring out the skills that each person's got. One thing that I suppose I've always done in my life, whatever organization I belong to, is to encourage people to take ownership of whatever I used to run a businessman's breakfast thing, and we'd encourage people when they came along to take part and take ownership, even if it was greeting people at the door when they first came in. A lot of people were shy, had never done that before, or whatever it might be, or taking names down or helping set tables. You know, it's joining as a team together. And I suppose that's one of the things I've tried to do in our team. I don't need to be at the front all the time. I'd rather get other people, you know, to grow and be part of it, because a lot of people say it might be a 3-minute testimony. That might be the first time I've spoken before people, and you encourage them, you show them, you help them, and they grow as a person. So it's and that's, again, you know, personal development really comes to the fore with Mannatech. I've often said it's a personal development company masquerading as a scientific company, you know, or the other way around. Yeah. Yes.
No, absolutely. And again, for people who are concerned, you know, all of us, probably even yourself, has a disappointment here and there. Chris, would you say?
Here and there? Yes, continually. Yeah. I mean, life is life, and we're all going to have things happen. And look, that again is one of the things I've found with Manitech. You build that great family atmosphere, and yeah, people are going through a rough time. Hey, there's a group of people around to help that may not have been there before, and yeah, life's life. Gosh, let's try and encourage people to, you know, we all win when we all win. So let's help everybody win.
No, absolutely, Chris. And Chris, is there anything I've missed that you think is important for someone considering and planning to be successful in partnership with Mannatech in business?
I suppose I'll use the word live the dream. I think a lot of people have lost their dream. It doesn't need to be huge, but as we say, things happen, and you know, sometimes it knocks people around, and everybody's different in the way they get hit and the outcomes of it. So always keep that in front. I mean, I've mentioned this before on this call. I'd never done a dream board before I came to Manitech. Didn't really know about it. I kind of thought, oh yeah, that's silly. But we put it together. We put down some ideas on what we'd like to see happen, perhaps share in the future. And you know, every single one of those things have come to pass quite some years ago. And so we're doing another one, you know. So I think, you know, don't be frightened of the future. Don't be frightened of, don't look at things and say, oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. I wish I could experience that. Well, that's your goal. That's your dream. Why not let us help you put that together? And of course, at the same time, we keep in great health.
Yeah, what a great side effect of a business is that you have the most optimal wellness possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, we continually get people saying, "Oh, come on, you're not really that old, are you?" And I'm sure we've all had that, haven't we? And yeah, so yeah, good health
Yeah,
is great.
I just crossed 60 a month ago, so
Oh, well done.
I'm very grateful to have Mannatech to. It's like
Yes,
this. It's a health safety net, really. You have so many tools at your fingertips to work with whatever life throws at you.
exactly right. I mean, it's almost like your health insurance, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed that you're not going to get something, and we've all had challenges in our lives. But and I had a heart problem some years ago, and I think now we're living pretty good compared with what it could have been.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but yeah, that's a great side effect. And so
And Chris, where do you see Manitech going in the next 5 years?
look at the rate. Look, yeah, I think since bringing in this compensation plan 3 weeks ago, the sky really is the limit. It's incredible because I believe that look, if everybody, think right back what we were saying about how this new structure is, if everybody builds that 5 and 2 system, and continues to do that and helping their people to do it, it's not too big a ask for anybody. No, you don't have to go find 15, 20, 100 people. Find 5. Sure, we'll find more than that. We want that minimum 5. Have 5 associates, 5 customers and 2 associates. Help them. Help the 2 associates to do the same. Help those to do the same. It's very simple, very duplicatable, and I can see that that is going to give all of us a solid grounding in our business, which therefore is just going to keep pushing it forward. I think it's amazing what they have been able to put together, and the only way it's really going to work is if you and I get out there and talk to other people. Because it won't happen, as you said right at the beginning, you said with this bigger secret. So we've got to share it with people.
You know, Chris, on reflection, I often look back and I think I've never harmed a soul by having the courage to let someone know about what we have. And in fact, people are praying for what we have. How important it is for people to get outside of themselves and just offer.
Yeah. In fact, I'm glad you said that because, it's wrong. We often forget this. It's wrong for us not to share it with other people because we just don't know what their situation is. We all know what we've experienced and would never be without it. But, I think it behoves all of us to share this with as many people as possible. It could be their lifesaver. And you and I have both seen that, haven't we? But so many people, you mentioned about, including my brother-in-law, he wouldn't have been alive without it. The other guy who went president had been clinically dead twice when he got onto this, Jeff.
Yeah.
It was a huge business. Got an extra 9 years of life. Was able to build up a residual income so his wife could live off that when he passed away. I mean, what would he have done without it? He wouldn't be here,
Yeah.
So,
and there's countless stories like that.
It goes on, doesn't it?
How would you like to complete with people today?
Well, I think I said about dreams and goals and helping other people. We'll keep saying it. 5 and 2, 5 and 2, 5 and 2, 5 and 2. Keep that in your mind. 5 and 2. Build leaders, build depth, build relationships with people. That's really important. And you said, how do you approach people? Well, it's finding out what their need is. It's not what we wanted. Find out what their need is and see if there's a way you can help. And you don't need to do it all in the first time. In fact, I was interested that who was it we had speaking at Manifest? Well known. I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Not Eric Quarry.
Eric Quarry, yeah. And Eric Quarry said, on average, and this was interesting coming from him, he said, on average, I think it was 6 or 8 times. He said, don't expect to sign people the first time you meet them. He said, on average, it was 6 or 8 times. that was interesting coming from him, who's an expert in this field. Is that, oh, you know, he talked to somebody and they said no. You think, okay, they're not going to be interested. But he said it actually takes much more than that. So keep on helping people, keep on talking. Don't be so much in their face that when they see you coming down the road, they want to cross the road so they don't talk to you. But always be there ready to share and help them, whether they get involved or not. Build those relationships. And then once you have got to help them, and we use the term open an account. Don't like to think signing people up. Opening an account for you to help work with them. Follow them up to help them. And don't leave them on their own, because we're all part of the family. We want them to get the best out of it. And I mean, one thing that we've always done is when people get their first order, often we get it, if we're able to get it to come to us, that we can take it to them and then go through with them and show them, because people forget, and then they get this box of stuff and then think, oh, what do I do here? Now, for example, with the True Health program, we've sometimes gone around with a person and said, let's make it up a shake now. Open that, do that, put this in, taste that. Once they've done that, they feel confident. Oh, yes, I've done that. I know how to do it. I don't need to ring up. You know, do I put this in here? Do I put that in? Do the follow-up, because that's important.
Yeah, so it's like developing that real, authentic partnership with that person, with their goals, whatever's right for them.
Yeah. In fact, I like that word partnership, because that's really what we're doing. We're building a partnership with people, and hopefully it'll be a partnership for life. You know. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Chris, thank you so much for being here. You've blessed all of us with your expertise and your heart and passion. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I just so enjoy helping other people, and yeah, talk to them again sometime.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, I actually don't know who our guest is next week. I'm still working on that. Been a bit tricky in the next coming weeks, but we will have something. I'm hoping for a wellness call, but let's see how we go. Also, if you're willing to tell your true health story on this call, that would be fantastic. Can you let me know? And thank you to all our attendees. I think we had one person with their hand up, actually. Let me figure out how to look at that. Marie. Anyway, Marie, you've got your hand up. Hopefully that's just waving at us and saying that's fantastic, because I actually don't even know how to find out what you want. We'll work on that for next week. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Saturday. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Bye.